Welcome back into episode 77. So this is the episode I've been waiting to make for about 18 months, something like that. The episode where we're finally going to start the car. You saw me in the previous episode do all the legwork, turning it over, starter motor failing. As it turns out, I don't think the starter motor actually failed. I took it down to a chap who put it back together after I took it apart and said it just worked. So I'm not sure whether I actually had a bit of a flat battery. I'm not ruling that out. So anyway, it's all back on there. As you saw at the end of the last video, it sort of turns over, it coughs and splutters a bit. And if you follow my YouTube short videos, you'll see it actually running. So in this video, we're definitely going to be getting it running. Or I am definitely going to be getting it running. If you've been enjoying this series, please click the subscribe button. I'm trying to grow the channel up to 2,000 subscribers. That's my big goal, or the next goal. Click the like button, leave me comments. But for now, let's just jump into the video. It might be a slightly longer than normal video. I want to try and capture everything so that you can see the process of trying to get it working and tuned up properly. So bear with me, it could be a long one. But let's get in there and see how I do. Okay, major update. I got the starter motor back, there was nothing wrong with it. Put the starter motor back in, put the spark plugs back in, turn the key, and it's coughing. So I'm going to quickly show you that now. I'm not going to do it for very long, I just want to check if it does it again. It literally did it once. So let's turn the key and see what it does. I need to be able to press this down. Like that. So it's doing something, and it looks like it's going to run. I want to get water inside it before I do any more. Just check it over, make sure that it's okay. It's making quite a lot of noise, but it is firing, so it's pretty cool. Right, after that blazing success of getting the car at least turning over and sort of firing a bit, I'm going to fill up with some water, get some coolant in there, and see if that makes it a little bit happier. It's making a bit of a whining noise, and I'm hoping that's just the water pump operating without anything to do. So we're way over 16 litres now, probably about 17 I'd guess. I'm going to let that just settle, but I can hear no more bubbles now, so we're clearly in the right ballpark. I'm going to let that settle for a while and then top off later on if required. So I'm going to crank it over again, now it's got water in it, to see how it sounds, see if it's still whining a lot. So I'm going to just turn it over again and to see what it does, see if it's happy. Right, that looks like I need to connect this up, clearly. But it's going to fire, you can tell it wants to fire. It's very unbalanced. Obviously I've not done anything, literally nothing with the mixture screw at all, apart from probably set it incorrectly. I need to work out where that pipe goes. I thought I was right with that pipe. Right, with this start test I've put the bottom of the airbox in. That allows me then to plumb in this pipe, which does a lot of the waterway, sort of connects the top of the head back to the water bridge. Without that I was squirting water around the engine bay, which is clearly not good. I've not screwed the airbox down particularly tight, but let's just see what it does. I still have to put my hand in to press the plate down. And there we have it. So it's clearly missing on something there, a lot of pops and bangs, but we had it running there for what, probably 15 seconds, that's not a bad effort. I'm going to look into what that is and then we'll give it another go. Well, it probably won't come as a major shock to you to know that I've never tuned a car before. So what we've got so far is that this, it starts, but it's coughing and spluttering and popping and banging, all sorts of things. So the timing is clearly quite a long way off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the bolt on the distributor to allow me to rotate it slightly. Now if you remember, when I put the distributor rotor arm in, it was slightly off where I was expecting it to be. It wasn't perfectly lined up with the marker. So what I'm going to do is initially just rotate it to the point that I guess it would be lined up and see if that makes a difference. Then in terms of the mixture, I've been reliably told that it's running quite lean, so not rich enough. So I'm going to give it probably maybe one turn, undoing the mixer screw, which I believe makes it richer, and see what difference that makes as well. But we're going to do one at a time. We're going to do the distributor first, just to see if it gets rid of all those pops. Right, let's remind ourselves what it's like at the moment, so we know what gains we're getting. So I'm just going to turn it over a few times, should make some bangs. Might make some bangs. Okay, so it's not happy at the moment. So I can smell fuel, so it's probably too far out. Or maybe it's not quite enough fuel coming through. Either way, let's just adjust the distributor. So it should, yep, we'll just get on there. Now when I put this back together, when I rotate this entire unit, the rotor arm was going to stay where it was. Now I thought it was too far round, so I'm going to rotate it a little bit like that. Let's see what that does. That's almost at the limit of where I can take it. Nip it back up. Better, quite a lot better actually. Obviously it's still very uneven, and there's that weird whirring noise, which I think is coming from my gutted air pump. So that's one of the other issues I need to look at. I want to strip off the belt for the air pump and just see if it stops. But as a good first step, good direction. Right, what I've done now is remove the belt that goes around the air pump. Obviously it will stop the fan turning now as well. But I just want to try it and see if it stops that whining noise, which will point towards the air pump. Yeah, so the whining noise stopped straight away, so at least we know it's the air pump now, which doesn't surprise me because I gutted it and it was never looking pretty good, particularly good when I put it back together. So I'm going to ultimately strip the air pump back off and we'll rework that and just see what we need to do. But for now, I'm going to put it all back together so that at least the fan's turning. I know I don't need the fan turning, but I'm worried about having a belt just hanging there. I'd much rather it sort of attached up. And although the engine did sound better, what I'm going to do, I've undone the bolt again. I'm going to rotate it back the other way now, about the same amount. To see whether it was actually getting better or just getting worse but sounding better, if that even makes sense. But what I want to hear now is it really wrong, and then I know that going the other way was the correct way. It runs for quite a long time. Quite a bit of smoke, so I need to see what's going on. I wanted to bring up the temperature a little bit.
so we can investigate what's really going on in there, to check if there's any leaks and things. But that was pretty successful, I'd say.
Right, finally got it so it'll actually stay alive without me pressing down on the plate. So that's good, but it's all over the place still. It's very lumpy. So I've slackened off the distributor. I've actually ordered a strobe light so we can just check the timing, rather than me trying to do it by ear, which, of course, as you know, don't know what I'm doing anyway. Rotating the cap doesn't make a massive difference. It's still popping and banging, which what I'm going to try and do now, we'll get it started, and then I'm going to weaken off the mixture, come right down until basically it can't run, so I know that it's definitely not too rich, and then we'll start building the mixture back in. I've also got the idle screw here, which I've adjusted. Again, it's alive, whereas before it wouldn't stay alive. So I don't know where that is at the moment. I need to just pull the mixture right down, so I've got one variable that I'm starting to understand, and then we can work out what to do with the idle. So anyway, let's just try and get it started. It's first start of the day, so it's probably stone cold. It's quite early in the morning, so I'm going to wake the neighbours up, but I'm sure they'll bear with me. They're probably subscribed to the channel anyway, like you guys are. So please remember to click the subscribe button. But let's just give it a go. Nearly. So all the time I'm just winding the screw in, which I believe weakens the mixture. Let's just turn it on again. So I took this mixture right down, and you could hear it come down and down and down and down. And I'm guessing that is really weak now. Which, I don't know if it's good or bad, but at least I know then I'm at the bottom of that scale. It's still not staying alive on its own, probably because it's not warmed up. And probably it's too weak now. But I'll get it started again. We'll now start, I might have a look at the timing, so adjusting the distributor again. Now the other thing I hadn't done was to cap off these two vacuum hoses that go to the distributor. So I've just pushed a quite a thick nail in there and clamped them up. So both of those off. So that's now not messing with the timing of the vacuum side of things. Right, start her up again and try one more go. There. Really struggling now, isn't it?
I don't know what's upsetting it now. I'm slowly playing with. I should play with one thing at a time. It may be the vacuum lines I've just taken off are upsetting it now, which is probably likely. But I can't get it to stay alive on its own. It makes it harder to deal with. It's quite a long way off staying alive now. And now, unfortunately, I don't know if it's because I weakened the mixture or because I removed the vacuum lines. That's definitely worse. Right, I'm very slowly inching forwards with this. I'm not sure I'm inching very far actually, whether it's forwards or backwards or sideways, come to think of it. So the car will start, the car will run, but it's popping, which to me signifies that the timing's out and is sort of igniting back through the inlet valve because I can feel the pop sort of in the intake area. To keep the car alive, I'm pressing down on the, I think it's the mass plate, the airflow plate, just fractionally, like maybe pressing it down 1 or 2 millimeters, and I can feel the pops hitting that, so you know it's in that area. I've had the cam belt covers off, taken it to TDC, checked the little markers on both cams are correct, which they are, checked it against the distributor, which is aligned perfectly to the mark on the distributor cap, on the distributor body, and I've double checked the HT leads, checked they're all correct as well, so that is all correct. So the popping could be potentially, from what I understand, if it's too weak. So what I've done is I've wound the throttle, so the idle screw, I've wound down to maximum and up to minimum and felt the range, and there's 16 full turns min to max. And I've done similar with the mixture screw, and that's got about 17 turns min to max. I've not taken it right out to max because I don't want it to unscrew and something get lost inside the fuel distributor. I don't want to rebuild that again. But I've taken it quite a long way out. And I've set both of them to about midpoint, so just call it 8 turns each. And tried it again, and it's still popping like crazy. I've also now removed both of the vacuum hoses that are on the distributor and plugged those up, so that's not messing with the timing either. So now I'm at a little bit of a loss of what I should check next. So if you've got any ideas, obviously leave me comments, ping me constantly if you know what I'm doing wrong, or stuff to try. What I'm going to do next is probably test the resistance in the HT leads and see if they're consistent. I don't know what they're supposed to be, I can look that up later, but I'm just going to check that they're all roughly in the same ballpark. Maybe some of the HT leads have got, you know, they're probably the original or they're older ones. And maybe they're faulty or something, but I'm probably going to do that next. But I think I'll start it up now and just see where it is this morning. While I remember, I've had a lot of comments about my gloves and that surely I can afford a new pair of gloves. I like these ones. Yes, I've got loads of these. The reason I like these is because I can pull a finger out and operate my phone. Otherwise I have to take them off and it takes me ages to sort of pull it off against my jumper or whatever. So that's why I'm wearing Holy gloves, so don't worry, I've got a whole box of them over there. I just like this pair. Now that was pretty cool. The car now runs really close. All I've done is remove the cold start injector, the wire that plugs in the bottom of that, and it pretty much started up and sat there. I mean, it's still popping and crackling. What I've done is wound in the mixture screw to, because I suspect it's too weak, so I've reached it up and the revs have come right up. So now I'm winding in the idle screw, which I think if you wind it in, it lowers the idle. But obviously reachings the mixture at the same time. So I'm just trying to find that happy medium there. It's still popping, but you can tell from the video, it's sitting there. I don't know what the revs are there, probably 2,000, 2,500, something like that. They're not low, maybe just over 2,000. But it is ticking over and it's a lot happier, it's a lot closer. So really pleased with that. I'm just going to see what the smoke is that's coming up from down there. It's probably still burning off some of the oil from the manifold from oil spillage, if you remember that. But big step forwards, really pleased with that. Right, I'll do a quick start, you can see where I'm up to. It is ticking over a little bit high, I'm not going to lie to you. You can decide. But not bad. It's a lot smoother. That hissing and the sort of whizzing noise when I shut it off, I think it's a vacuum leak. I'm just going around slowly trying to identify where they are. There's a couple along here. There's probably still a couple along this side of the engine. And each time I nip one up, it gets rid of that sort of zzz noise. I've taken the belt off the air pump. As you remember, my air pump's completely stripped out at the moment. So that's removed at the moment just so I can make sure it's not that making a noise. And it was much worse, and as I say, after I tightened up a few of the pipes, it got a lot better. So now I just need to work out how to get the revs back down. I've got it up and it's quite consistent, but it's obviously, I don't know what that's, probably sitting on something like 4,000 RPM. It's a little bit high perhaps for driving. But great progress today. Really got some movement with the tuning. Previous to this, it's been popping and banging, and I've been through everything, the timing over and over, trying to work out what it is. So we're certainly getting there. So slowly working through the problems. I forgot that I hadn't capped off this vent here. This is a pipe that goes to the gearbox. I've not connected it up at the moment, but it was open, so it's sucking a lot of air in there. I'm also seeing it blowing a lot of air around the intakes here, which I'm going to quickly do up now while you're on camera. No, I'm not, because I threw it on the floor. Okay, so I won't be doing those up now, but I can see that these are actually not tight enough because it's blowing around them and leaving a stain, a yellow stain on the nice clean aluminium. So they definitely need doing up. I've tightened up the other side, but these little leaks make a huge difference to how the car runs and sounds. But I'll start up now, you see where we are. So, going on now. Just how it's sticking over quite nice now. I'm going to lean it out a bit. The tacho's not working, so I can't tell what RPM that it's at, but it seems pretty good, quite low. Give it a little rev and see what it does. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's very smoky in here, so let me open the door. But it's looking pretty good. It's sounding decent. It's got really nice hearty V8 engine sound. And it's staying alive. And it's not popping. Yeah, really great progress. The last 2 days have been fascinating. From where I thought I just couldn't get this thing running, suddenly it just all came together. Yeah, it's very interesting. Now I need to put on the vacuum hoses back onto the distributor. I've got a timing light so I can strobe that back in and sort of get it correct. And I'm going to pop on the fan now, just so that's on. And then I'm just sort of looking around looking for leaks. There's a little bit of water coming out the top of the one of the pipes that goes in the radiator. I know the power steering is dripping a little bit. Have a look. That's still doing it, so it's clearly not very tight there either. Much less than it was. And it's definitely is blowing around here because I've got this yellow mark. I'll pick you up and you can have a look at that. Right, hopefully you can see those sort of yellow marks just here. Now they weren't there, so that is definitely caused by it blowing around it somehow. I'm going to tighten those Jubilee clips up now. They're pretty tight as they are. And while we're here, this is the, if I can just get it focused for you, there. That's just the bolt I've put in to cap off that line that goes there. From there, it goes from there to the gearbox. It's actually, if you look on the windscreen, you can just see this pipe here. That was the original one. And I've just chucked it on there to copy it later on. One more start for luck. So after that run, what I can see, there is a water leak here. If I can just show you about here, there's a water leak on this pipe. So the pipe comes out, this is called the adapter, comes out and goes into the heating system via this little vacuum valve here. And it seems like the vacuum valve is leaking. What I'm going to do is just tighten up the clamp that's there and just double check. But I think I probably need a new vacuum valve there. Everything else seems secure. All the smoke from that side is from, if you remember, I was filling up the oil and the oil fell over and it's gone all over the exhaust manifold here, or down there, so that's why it's smoking so much. I don't know why, but I always feel compelled to tell you the things I do wrong. Right, when I was taking it to TDC last, I obviously put my socket set in there like that, rotated it around to TDC and looked at the distributor. Took all the plugs out, checked it all over, put it all back together, and then I tried starting the car. But obviously I left this in. So this spun around and wound out the crank bolt. So the bolt came out with its washer. Luckily that only holds on the, this is the pulley assembly, there's the aircon one, then there's, I think it's 2 or 3 connected together, and then, yeah, that's right, these 3 connected together, then there's the aircon, and then there's harmonic balancer. That is held on by a little spline on the crank, so it can't change the timing, so I just put it all back together. What I've done now is I've not tightened it up because I can't tighten it up, which I'll come to in a second, but what I did was put the washer on backwards. So I need to take it all out again, swap the washer around, and I'll show you the correct way around for the washer, and then put it all back together. Now, the reason I can't tighten it is because I don't have the tool that goes in the starter ring back down here somewhere, I can't see where it is, over there, to lock the engine in place. But I do now. I created one. I'll try and show you in 1 second. Okay, so this is the washer that goes in on the crank bolt. Now this is super important. It must go that way round. So in like that. So with this smooth machine side facing the front of the car, and the recess goes back in and sits on the crank. The crank sort of fits within the recess, and this lip presses the pulleys all tight into the front of the engine. Put it the other way around like I did just then, and what it'll do, it'll tighten up, but it won't pull these pulleys in, so they just spin and make a racket. So be careful of that. And in terms of locking the starter ring in place, what I've got is this. This is a tool I bought online for about 15 quid, which doesn't fit. And so I bought another one from Sealy, which also didn't fit. So 1 + 1 = 1. One tool that does fit. I've just put these really dirty big welds on. You can kind of see how juicy they are, just to hold the whole thing in place. I didn't weld on this side because I didn't want to ruin that surface in case I need that at a later date. But that fits in perfectly and locks the starter ring. Can't do it one-handed, but it fits in there quite neatly and holds everything in place.
Right, I think that's enough for this week. That is a successful week. Getting the engine running, I mean, I had probably 2 days where the car was doing that spluttering, the popping and stuff, and I was really at a loss what to do. And it was only when, I can't remember what point it was, that I tried tightening up some of these, the intake runners, you know, the rubber clips on the top there, and suddenly it all clicked together and started running really smoothly. I can't remember what made me do that. But it doesn't matter. So my whole problem was down to vacuum leaks, and the fact that too much air was getting in, even to the point, I mean, making that horrible whistling sound like almost like a metal on metal, no oil noise. It was air being sucked in. And the last 2 points I've got is there's the fitting on the front that runs off to the gearbox, and there's a bolt that runs through the plenum and pushes down on the airbox beneath there. Those two were still open as well, and that allows obviously too much air to get in, which affects the mixture and it all goes to pop. Having those sealed up now and having tightened everything up and even getting the airbox on, runs really good. I'm really surprised. Actually starts probably better than my BMW. Anyway, that was a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching, sticking with me on the journey. Now what I'm going to be doing is turning my focus to the gearbox. I want to do a quick service on the gearbox, so filter and oil. Same with the torque converter, get that the fluids changed inside there. And then I want to just try and move this. Let's see if it will actually drive. We'll just see if we can get it working. And then it's the next journey, all the rear suspension, everything needs doing back there. Bodywork, interior, keep going. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.